Hi all. Right, welcome to a new game, The Other Side of the Hill. I may have spoke about this a couple of times recently, and still playing Enemy Action Ardennes behind me, but things are still quite slow and whatever. But I had another game. I had Mage Knight set up on this table, and it was sitting gathering dust a bit, and then I got this new, and I want to set it up, so I've had to clear Mage Knight. I've tried to save it so that I can put it back again, but I want to get a shot at this game. I've been messing about with it a little bit. It was Martin mentioned this game to me. I think it was on crowdfunding, so it wasn't available because I don't sort of back any of these things. I don't look at any of these things. But he mentioned he thought this might be an interesting game. It's got a competitive mode, 1 to 4 players, cooperative, 1 to 4 players, and also a solo mode as well, which is the one I'm interested in. So I looked into it, and then somebody posted on the forums that the company were actually selling some versions. Now I believe this isn't the Kickstarter one I've got, because the Kickstarter one is showing sold out, but I seem to have all the bits that were added. So I don't know what was added, what was additional to the Kickstarter. You would think there must be something. But I mean, it says the following components have been added to stretch goals unlocked during the Kickstarter campaign. I've got all the things that it lists there. I want to say when I was looking somewhere, I think there was another pack of. Was there maybe another pack of general cards involved? I don't think I've got them, so it's maybe that, whether there's other things or not. Anyway, I took advantage of jumping onto that and purchased the game. So it's by NAC War Games, who I believe are Spanish, and the designer Spanish. Game designed by Carlos Marquez, and art design Rodolfo Serra. Yeah, I might be getting lots of pronunciations wrong, not just starting with a couple of Spanish names. Well, assuming the art design is Spanish as well. That's maybe not, but a lot of German pronunciations going to get messed up here. For sure within this game. Okay, so I've been messing about with it. I read through the rulebook a couple of times, watched a couple of videos, and I wanted to do it. I should really be playing it a little bit more off camera, to be honest. But I always figure when I press record, it keeps me focused and keeps me going with the game rather than, I don't know. It just keeps me. There's not as much a distraction when I'm recording it. I feel like I've got to produce something and, get to an hour's worth and then record, upload it and whatever. I will have a look back at it, because I'm not. I mean, seems a reasonably complex game. I think there's a lot of things that can catch you out. A lot of little rules that are going to catch me. We'll start this first part and then see how it goes. Now, I haven't done any of the setup. I took it all down and I thought I'll set it up, just in case it helps somebody, any of you out there. Oh my, yeah, it's a big game. This that's me zoomed right out. So the one thing is, a couple of videos that are out there. Blue Tweezers has done a playthrough of this. Which is good, and he gets most of the rules right. I think he's pretty good with understanding the game. I think he is pretty good in general with his rules and whatever. I just feel he's away from the board. As the camera setup, it's up high. It makes it easier to do it when you're recording. I get that, but I always feel like when you see videos like that, you can't really get up close. I mean, I like to zoom in on the areas and I like look at them more, but there's a lot more work involved. That's why my videos take that long and whatever. Anyway, he's got a set of videos out there that are helpful, and there was some other guy that had some as well that were done on Tabletop Simulator, which I generally don't like looking at really, but when you're looking at a game new and there's not much out there to look at, then you've just got to take what you can get. Anyway, right, okay, so let's just set the game up and get started and see where we go, and I can, like I say, watch back the video, and if it looks I think what I might not do at first is upload this to BGG. I'll just put it on my channel first, in case there's a lot of horrible things pointed out that I'm getting wrong before I put it on BGG. Okay, so right, let me take the box away and get ready for the setup then. Right, so well, just a quick overview of things. This is. I don't want to start digging into all the rules and whatever. Does it give you an introduction? It does. I mean, like I say, there's a solo co-op game. This is the rules for that. So they're both in here, and there's some bits in grey that cover the co-op, and I think it's in pink when it covers the solo or something like that. So you've got this rulebook, and you've got a competitive rulebook, which I've not even looked at because it's unlikely. So the introduction says here, just to give you, it's not long anyway. The Other Side of the Hill is a board game that simulates World War II from the point of view of the German High Command. In the solitaire and cooperative modes, one player or up to 4 players will attempt to emulate the military victories in World War II and ultimately achieve the survival of Germany beyond its historical defeat in spring 1945. So yeah, we're playing the bad guys here. Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, it was war. There was Germany and there was the rest of us, and yeah, right, Grant. Don't go down places that you might regret. Anyway, so yeah, we're playing as a German High Command, so we're making decisions for the German generals in World War II. Now it seems to follow the history of World War II. This game, throughout all the events, sort of do the things that have happened. Now decisions you get to make are could make things different, and some things are going to succeed whereas they didn't succeed in real life and in history and whatever. I'm not really up there with knowing how it all went, but I know some of the bits. I know some of you that watch this will have some far better idea of how it all went down, etc. So yeah, but we're not trying to win the war. It's just to survive longer. So the Germans are going to start off. Well, I'm going to start from the beginning. The 1939. There's a few scenarios you can't play solo. There's quite a few scenarios. I think you've got to play. The scenario's got to be one that ends in 1945. I think, to play it solo, something like that. But I want to play from the beginning, so I'm going to do the 1939 one, which is. What's the title of that scenario then? It is. Right, there's the scenarios you can play cooperative and solo. Armageddon, which is up to 23 turns. I could just probably show you this. I'm not getting in on the map. Yeah, this is on page 33 of the rulebook. I think the rules are about 36 pages of this book. So yeah, there's a lot in it. There's a lot of game in it. So victory determination. We are just going to be looking for victory points here that are based on this, what you control. I won't go into that just yet. There's the 4 different scenarios that you can play. It's all the ones that end in 1945. So Armageddon, which is from the fall in 1939 to spring in 1945. Yeah, that's the one we're going to be playing, isn't it? Yeah, so up to 23 turns. So, and then the shorter ones, that one starts summer 1941 to spring 1945, and that one's 1942 to 1945, and then that last one's 1943 to 1945. So they're a bit smaller, but I want to start at the beginning. I don't want to start halfway through. So that's the one I'm going to do. So Armageddon. Yes, and so the idea here is to try and survive a bit longer than the Germans actually did, I think. And that will be based on the victory points and how things are. Right, the map, a quick overview. Like I said, I don't like going into everything. There's 3 fronts. You've got the Western Front, and all these areas in blue. You might not sort of see it. First, when I looked at video footage of it, I was like, is this an actual map? But you can see the area behind. There's where I am up there. But that's Great Britain, and it's just covered up by these boxes. Obviously, this is France under here, Spain under here, but it's marked there. That box is Spain, that area is Spain. So I think these are areas, these are sectors, which are different cities within the sectors. And the sort of light blue area there, that's all the Western Front. And then over this side, the sort of pinky colour is the Eastern Front. And then we've got the Southern Front, which is a kind of yellow down the bottom, which is North Africa, and there's Greece, Southern Italy, Turkey, and then Egypt, Libya. You know, they're all marked there. I'm not going to. I'll talk about the things as we go. I'm not going to try and explain it. I hate trying to do something like that. Try and explain it all in a one-off. Right, there's lots of tracks. Up the top here is the year track, and we're going to start in 1939 and end in 1945. And then you've got winter, spring, summer, and fall. We're going to start in the fall of 1939, so we're going to start in that box there, because that's when things started. And then you've got, this is the turn track, the sequence of play, and you do an administrative phase and then an operations phase, and then you would then move on to the next season, apart from summer, which gets two operations phase, so you would have administrative and then 2 lots of operations phase. That's down here. This is your production stuff up here. I'll explain that a bit more later. Resources track, fanaticism track, unrest track, development. Yeah, there's lots of things. And then this is when the USSR might come into the war, and also the US when they might come into the war. This is where your armies go, your satellite armies. Right, down here while I'm here, these are the big pile of generals. Now, I want to say there's a lot of them, isn't there? In total, does it not say here, 37 were added. 48, 37, so was that 80? Oh no, sorry, 10 were added. 10 generals were added to the 48 originally. So there should be 58 generals. So there's a lot. Some of them only come in, they're all dated, so obviously we're only gonna get to use the ones at 1939 to start with. There's all the markers. I know this is rather messy, but I'm not really sure how to lay them out. I just want to be able to see them and pick them up. These are the combat pawns, a few counters there, lots of dice, lots of different dice. We'll get to them. The blue ones are Western dice, Western allies, red ones are the Soviets. We get to use the black and the grey and the white, and the yellow ones are the satellite armies, and there's a couple of D6s as well. Okay, and there was a nice wee dice tray thing that goes together, and yeah, I think I might make use of that, because I've got that sort of little box that I use. So yeah, I'm gonna use that for this. And then across other side, some counters up there. This is where all the generals go, and there's a load of the cards. There's lots of events. There's combat events, strategic events, and then you've got directives, production directives, political directives, and military directives, and you've got combat cards, which decide how the Western Allies and the Russians, how they go into the combats, what they do. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's just set up, and like I say, it's tricky to maybe follow along, but I dare say most people that are going to have a look at this probably have some idea of the game and want to see if they're doing some things right and whatever. Oh, black orchestra cards as well, a lot of ones there. So okay, so here's setup table. We'll look at setup table 1 first. Right, and this is to set up the different years. So I thought we'd just go through this. It's not complicated really, but you know, why not just set it up together, I think. So the first step, we're doing 1939, so it's that column on the left. So the year track is going to be on 1939, clearly. So where is that? Right, so year track, 1939. And then, can you not show that while we're up there? Yeah, and then, sorry, that's the actual, it's got year on it, and that's where it goes. It goes year track 1939. Right, and then the next one's the turn marker, and it goes turn track autumn. That's a misprint. Well, it's fall. You know, I mean, we would say autumn across here. I guess maybe it's the Spanish way of saying that season, but for the Americans it's fall. I don't know about other places. Anyway, we go into the administrative phase of the fall for the turn marker, right? And then also in the year track, you've got 2 landing markers. So the first one goes, so landing marker 1 goes on 1942, and then landing marker 2 goes on 1944. So the Allies will get the opportunity to land on these dates. So they're just restricted to do it. They're not going to be able to do it beforehand. Like I say, the game really does follow, I think, how things sort of went. I'm hoping it's going to, it looks like a really interesting game. I'm really looking forward to a shot at it. I'm hoping it's going to, the bits that I've moved about and whatever, I'm quite excited to dig into it more clearly, because I press record now, so I'm wanting to have a shot at it. I'm hoping it doesn't follow the history like just completely, but I think that's the point of the game, is for it to go that way, but just for you to try and extend the war slightly and not do as bad as what the Germans ended up doing. I suppose that's it, really. So they're going to lose. In fact, it says, and the Russians, you can't beat the Russians. You can't beat them. You can't defeat them. So that's just something else that's built in. Anyway, right, where are we now? So resources track, that goes on 8. So that's up here, and there's a little resources marker. Oops, where are we? There we go. So that goes on the track 8, and it's based on, I want to say, that 8 actually comes from what the Germans control at the beginning. Now it's every one of these Festung sectors. I think this is where they get, because we're going to have control of these to start with. And I say I'm playing as the Germans, so that's allowed this time. So I think it's all these. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 I've counted. Did I miss one across here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there, it's up there. 8. So I think that's where the 8 comes from. All them, because we control all them to start with. So that's 8 resources. Right. Next thing on the setup table. Well, actually, I'll just point in the map. I'll just read it off of the. So it's the Wehrmacht. Is that? I'm going to get a lot of pronunciations wrong. Wehrmacht, something like that. So the replacement counter for it goes on the 1 section, and it's also got the restriction of the 2 here. At some point you're going to be able to flip that over, and that restriction then allows you to take it up to 3. You can only either be 0, 1, 2 or 3. So it starts on the 1 and it's that way up, so it can only go a max of 2 at the moment. The Luftwaffe replacements is also the same, it starts on the 1, and then the strategic warfare replacement starts on the 1, and again these have all got just a maximum of 2 at the moment. So they all start there. And then carrying on down there, you've got the military directives marker, which is the next one. That starts on a 1 as well. Basically, this number's got to add up to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So something's getting a 2. I think it's the bottom one, isn't it? Consumer goods, yeah, it is. So, and then political directives starts on a 1. And then production directives starts on a 1. And these don't have the restriction of just going to 2. You can put them up to 3. And then consumer goods starts on a 2. So you can see that counts up to 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's what we've got up the top. Okay, good stuff. Alright, they don't go anywhere. Right. The project markers, yeah. We get nothing set up on the project track. You can see that if you play some of the later scenarios, this thing's already set up, but we're starting at the beginning here. There's a advanced project marker in -1. That goes there. Anytime you fail to advance it, this goes on the marker, and then you get a -1 modifier to your next shot to make it slightly easier. Fanaticism goes on track 2 of the Fanaticism track, and the Unrest marker goes on 0 of the Unrest track. There. I think when that gets to 3, that reduces that. This is more important near the end, I think. I'm not fully sure on how it affects things, but I'm not fully sure about everything in the game yet, so I'm just still learning it a bit, but I'm hoping I can make a decent job and not blundering things too much, hopefully. Right, the Paratroops marker goes on Paratroops track 5. I'll explain that one later on when we get to it. And then you've got US commitment track. So it goes on neutrality acts. And that goes there. So it's right at the bottom. So it's got to get along here to join the war, or there's maybe other ways of doing it as well. And commitment Soviet one goes on the Nazi-Soviet pact. They start obviously with a pact with the Germans, and then again, if this moves along into there, they'll come into the war. Or I think it's more likely Germans are going to start Operation Barbarossa, and I think that'll probably trigger a war right away, won't it? Well, yeah, that should be how it goes. Where are we now? Right, strategic warfare track. That's up the top here. So there's a strategic warfare marker which starts on the 1, and there's also a technology marker that goes along with that, which starts on the 0. Now, basically what that means is that's on a 1. That's how many dice we get to roll. All these tracks are the same. The air tracks are they tell you how many dice you get to roll. Normally you roll white dice. If you happen to get that technology marker into one of these boxes, though, that's the amount of grey dice that you get to roll. So, and grey dice are better than white, clearly. And then in the strategic warfare track 3, this goes. So we can't get into that box yet. And there's also one that blocks off 4. So there's going to be certain cards that we'll be able to play to remove these to get our strategic warfare up a bit further. And the last 2 markers here are the status of France. So status of France, the Third Republic. So that goes in this box, and it can obviously change to Vichy, but it starts like that. And also Italy is independence, and it can change to, what is it? Intervention. So again, I never really got into the game as much to find out about that. There's a few little tricky bits regarding some of these things taking over, the whole Vichy thing and Italy, and yeah, there's a few bits. Right, and I've got a sequence marker here, so it says it starts on the bombing of Germany, which is the first step of the administrative phase, so that goes in there, and we just go along there and then along there, then move on to the next season. And it's all nice. The tracks are really nice, if I remember to move the markers, that is. Well, what I'm also going to do, somebody's created a sequence of play cards for this game, and I looked at the file today, and I've not got time to try and print out the cards, but I'm going to bring my tablet across and just flick through the actual sequence of play cards on the tablet, just to try and follow it that way. There is a sequence of play. There's a player aid with it on it, which is pretty decent enough, and I had the rulebook open as well though for it. Right, so the other things, these things are only in competitive play, and there's these markers that go up here, vacancy markers. These are for the ports, dissident markers and things like that. We'll come into that soon. So I don't think there's anything more there. And influence markers, they're only in competitive scenarios. Right, so we flip over the other side of this, and then this is all now what's going to go on the actual map here. So the first 4 boxes are for your air naval control. So the Western Front starts on the 2. I don't know if you can quite see that. So the Western's on the 2. And I'll just glance at the rest myself. The Eastern Front's on the 3. Oh, and the OB is not available, like that. So that's fine. And the Eastern one starts on the 3, and then the OB is not available. And then the Southern Front one down here only starts on the 1, and again the OB is not available. And if these are on the 1 or the 5, you'll see there's a sort of little dice, extra dice that you can get. So we want it up high, they want it down low. So, and finally, no, that the air naval control for the Germany box is on the 5, and that one's important as well. We're in the bombing in Germany. You want it up here. Once it goes down here, you start losing replacements and get some more unrest, etc. Right. Okay. So now to set up the areas. So looking at this, we've got in area 1, we've got a black cylinder and then a blue cylinder, and then we've got 5 grey cubes, and then we've got von Rundstedt and von Bock. So that is, area 1 is Poland. So that's where things started going, where it really began, though, and I think maybe sort of started things off a little bit before, but this is where it really went bad. Poland. So we want, and it tells you the position of these cylinders. So the black one's on the 1 and the blue one's on the 2. So give me them down here. So the black one, this is the German one, is on the 1, so it's in Stettin. And in fact, all these is it Festun? Whatever it is, Festung or Festung. All these are going to have black control disc. Is it control disc? No. I can't mind the terminology. Does it not tell you there? Hang on. Let's get the name right for that. Where are they? Black control discs. Yeah, I was right. So there's a black control disc on the 1, and then a blue control disc is on the 2, which does that not mean that means it's disputed, doesn't it? Is that not right? Why is it not showing me the markers for that then? Oh, yeah, it's in the colour. It's in the colour. That's what confused me. Where's the bit with the colours? Where's the bit that tells you with the colours? Is it on the play aid? No. Oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, I know where it is. It's in the book that I never spoke about, the playbook, that shows you all the scenarios. It's got an extended sequence of play in this bit as well. So yeah, it shows you the setup here, historical setup, and it tells you everything that I'm basically saying, what you do and with these and what you do with the armies. There's the colours there, which threw me originally. So if it's that sort of brown colour, it's occupied alignment marker, axis control, satellite. If it's pink, disputed alignment marker, no control. It tells you all them. So I'll just keep that aside, and you can see that one we looked at was in that sort of red. So it's a disputed alignment marker, and there's no control. So that's what we need, as a disputed marker in there. So nobody controls it. So black in number 1, the blue in number 2, and then we need 5 grey armies. So the grey armies are regular armies. The black armies are Panzer armies. So the black armies are the best for us, and these are based on what dice you roll. Obviously, the black dice are better chance of hits than the grey dice, and then the white armies are reduced armies, and obviously you roll the white dice for them, and the yellow armies are the satellite armies. You roll the yellow dice. Right, so there's 5 armies, That and that, and then we need von Rundstedt and von Bock. So I've got these out. I had them out earlier, obviously. So we put their markers there. The AB heads, AG heads, sorry. There's von Rundstedt. He goes in that one, and Poland has 2 of these boxes. So there's von Bock. The top numbers is seniority. The bottom numbers is chance to. Yeah. I'm not going to know what are the terms for them, to be honest. Let's see if we can get this right. Where's the thing? Right, seniority factor and confidence factor. And the confidence factor, you roll a dice if they become questioned, and the higher the number there, the better chance I've got a bit less chance I've got being dismissed. So you can see he's a 2 and he's a 3, so they're not great that way, but he's got the highest seniority in von Rundstedt with a 10. So they go there, and right, so let's try and quickly fill out the rest of these, Grant. So you can see these are all in white, which is just neutral, I think. I'm saying I think again. If it's in the white, neutral area, no line marker, no control. Yeah, that's it. So, but however, area 2 has a black control disc in sector 1. Area 2 is here, Hungary, so that goes there, and it's got a white army, which is the reduced army, and area 3 is going to be the same. Area 3 is Yugoslavia down there, and a white army, and these are neutral, so we can either try and take them, you know, we can try and get them on our side and benefit from their armies, the satellite armies, like Hungary, Yugoslavia, and some of the other ones. But you need to do that through cards and whatever. Right, Area 4 is nothing. Area 5 is one of these as well. Where's 5? 4 had nothing. Where's 5 about? 5's up. The Baltic states. So that goes there. And did that have that? That had a white army as well, yeah. Right. So I'm going to follow some of the rest of these in. You can see these ones are blue, and they're on a blue colour at the background, which is going to tell us that they're Western controlled. So let me just fill out the rest of these, I think, rather than go back and forth here. Right, that's me filled out the rest. Basically, there's a lot of these areas all Western. It's Great Britain, and then there's a Western alignment marker. Same there in Northern France. This is the other area we've got disputed. Southern France. Yeah, I mean, the Germans don't have control of any areas. They've just got disputed area here and disputed area there. All the rest are neutral, well, apart from the ones that the Western faction control. And then finally, and that was just adding all these, well, actually von Lieb as well. That's the other. Now, you get a army group head if you've got at least 2 German armies. Now, the satellite armies, the yellow ones, they're not German armies, so anything, as long as there's 2 and neither of them are yellow, you get to pick an AG head. But these are set up at the beginning, so that's von Lieb we've got for that. And the reason that's got 2, if the area has 5 armies, they've got 2. There's only that area, Poland, and then you've got Belgium, Holland. It's got 2. I think that's only 2, isn't it? That's only 2 areas that you have 2. And then the black number. Well, it's a black number there. I say it's black. I don't think it is it? Slightly different colour. I think it's the 4 that's the black. These are the stacking numbers anyway. That's how many armies you can have in these areas. But, well, I'll talk about that as I go. So these numbers finally down the bottom, these are in the force pool, so we get 2 black armies, 1 grey army and 3 white armies. Okay, so there's our force pool, the 2 black panzer armies, the 1 grey regular army and the 3 white reduced armies are in the force pool, so we'll be able to make use of them. Okay, that's all the setup. There's not something else. No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's just ready to sort of go. Now look at the cards now. Have I got the generals aside? Yeah. So here's the cards for the generals that we've got in play. We've got von Rundstedt, who's army group head up in Area 1 Poland, along with Feder von Bock. And then von Lieb here is the one that's army group head in southern France. Okay, and these, right, quick, I mean, I suppose these are quite a big card. Well, all the cards do something. So that's his name. We said that was his, actually, let me open the book at the bit where it explains it, and then I'll be telling you the correct things in a sec. Right, so for von Rundstedt there, that's his seniority factor, the 10. And the confidence factor is the 2. This is his combat rule. This is his any special rule. And if you had a misfortune, do any of the 3 have a misfortune? No, they don't. It would be down the bottom there. That's probably just the card number. And then these are the combat symbols that decide how it all works. This is setup codes. I don't think I use any of them. No, I don't think they get used. This is this interest group, which I don't think is involved in the so. This is the year he enters, and that's his name, right? And the same, somewhat. Well, there's a wee bit of information somewhere on the actual counter that he's got and whatever. Just a quick overview of the combat. Well, let's see his special. Respected. When dismissed, add this card to the general cards entering play next year. If he is a dissident, he returns as Old Guard. Right, I'm not quite sure what that means, but that Old Guard bit, I don't think that's used in the solo stuff. I might be wrong though. And this is an important part that we can use him for combat. Now the blue star and the red star, that means combat can be used against the Western and against the Soviets. And then there's a wee sort of oblique there, and that tells you that it's when it's the sort of Stuka bomber there. It tells you that's the symbol for he's got to be attacking. We have to be attacking to benefit from this. And the green background tells you the area is, and that is plains. So he needs to be attacking into a plains area. Just, you can see Athens there is green. So if we were there and attacking into there, that he would benefit from this. And you can see the benefit is you would add +1 hit to the Axis combat roll. Right, okay, so these generals are the 3 generals that are in command to start the game. So we've got Rundstedt, von Bock and von Lieb. So these 3, I'm just going to put them in there. So these are in command generals. So there's 3 of them. Now in the solo game you can have 30 generals in your sort of stock of generals to use, and then every year you're going to refresh some of them, some new ones will come in, and you're limited to 30. So that's 3. So we could have another 27, but the ones that are 1939, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only another 9 of them. So these are the ones that we can use as leading generals for our combats, and also if we happen to put, again, if we get another army in here, then we'd be able to fill one of these AG heads with one of these generals. And there's restrictions about how you go about selecting them or whatever. Couple other things. These are the combat deck. These are the 2 events that start on 1939. So there's 1 combat event, 1 strategic event. We might see them, we might not. As for there's some of them that have a blue background that at the end of the year you have to actually see them anyway. They have to be played. You know, history has to come and do its thing. And then the directive cards, we've got one military. These are all dated 1939. So this is a one military card that we could play on this year. And remember, we're just at the end of the year in the fall, and it's the invasion of Poland. So we'll be playing this, and it's reasonably easy to do. I don't think we'll fail. You've got 3 what are they, production directives. We'll not be able to play all of these. There's a cost for all of these, and if you remember, we set these numbers over here. There was a military one, it's at 1, political one, it's at 1, production is at 1. But you can see the military one, the invasion of Poland, that is only at 1, so we'll be able to play that. These 3 production ones, they're all 1, so we'll be able to play one of them. And then finally there's political ones, which we can try and get diplomacy with Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary or Italy. You can see these all cost a 1 as well, so we'll be able to play one of them as well. You start the year with, is it 5 military and 4 the other 2, I think, 4 production. But there's only 3 political ones, 1 military and 3 production ones for 1939 anyway. Right, okay, that's enough, because I want to get a little bit play, and then hopefully I'll just get started. 41 minutes. Or would I be better just cutting this? And no, I want to do something. Do you? I could probably do another bit now. I've got a little bit more time, so right, yeah, no, I'm going to get started, and we can hopefully get 1939 done. And then I can maybe get another little part on. Right, I was looking, here's the sequence of play cards. I've just got them on my tablet. These were done by a Christian V. And they're on BGG. So they look really smart. I'd like to put them out as cards. I just not got the time at the moment and whatever. So, but I just thought I could flick through these. So that's where we're at. We are at, just looking up the top there, 1939. We're in the administrative phase of the fall, and we start here, and then the first step is the bombing of Germany. I might not be able to see a way up there, but so that's the first step. So we're just going to flick on there, and there's bombing of Germany, right? So, and what we do there is we check the bombing of Germany track and make any applicable adjustments to the replacements and unrest levels. So, nice and simple. And at the start, you can see that the bombing in Germany marker's in the 5 box. We want to keep it up there all the time if we can, but it's going to get pushed, and so there's no effect. So nothing happens in that step. So we can move on to the next step, which is German replacements. So next step, German replacements. This is an economy segment. So Wehrmacht replacements. What was that said? Replacements may not be added to isolated areas. So these are little notes that Christians obviously added to these cards just as reminders. So it says, take one of the following actions for each Wehrmacht replacement point. We can deploy a reduced army for the force pool, which are the white ones, or we can replace a reduced army with a regular army. So that's replacing a white one with a grey one. Or we can replace a regular army with a panzer army, which is replacing a grey one with a black one, and that's dependent on how many points that we have. And at the start of the game, we don't start with many. We've only got 1. Remember, these are also limited to only going at a maximum of 2 at the moment. So we've got 1 Wehrmacht replacement, and so there's a force pool. But I think as we're going to be, I mean, you need to look ahead a little bit here to see what you're going to do, but it's sort of simple in the first turn here. We're going to invade Poland, so we're going to be able to play that card. So we're going to be attacking in this area. We're going to be attacking from Stettin into Krakow, and then if you'll notice, this is the card that we're going to eventually play. The objective is Warsaw, so we need to actually get into here. But if you succeed in your attack, you're allowed an extra. You advance once, and then you can advance another, as long as it's plains or island, plains or river. Sorry, it's either one of the green areas or the blue areas. You can't do it if it's rough, or what is the other areas? Fortress maybe, and you'll not be able to do an advance a second. So that's just where we're going to be attacking now. It might be that it's overkill, to be honest, but there's no. I don't know. I'm just going to do. And listen, I'll get nothing. I won't have a clue about doing anything clever in this game. Really, it's just want to mess about with it, try and understand it a bit more. Again, like most games, you're going to get better at it as you play it and understand it better. So I'm going to do, for our one replacement, I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to take a Panzer army and we're going to upgrade one of the regular armies and pull in with a Panzer army. Right? I mean, I really don't think it's necessary, and it probably could go somewhere else, but you get the chance to move these armies about as well, and it's still upgraded a regular army to a Panzer army. And if we do, to be honest, if we do advance and everything goes right and we go into Warsaw, it's going to have to get reduced back down again anyway. So let's do that. So that's our one Wehrmacht replacement. Right, so I had to stop the video there, and I've done what I've not done for a long time. I paused when I was on record. I can see it. I'll probably not need to cut that bit out, but you can see I just start and move the camera and I don't say anything because I think I'm paused, and I'm not. So let's do that bit again. Have I moved that? Yeah, I didn't move it. I changed it. Right, so Luftwaffe replacements. So we get to add one to the air naval control track in any front or in the Germany box for each Luftwaffe replacement point. And again, remember, we've only got the 1 point. So we could move this box up by one, but you can see it's up the highest, or we can move either front, the east front, the west front, or the southern front. Southern front's on 1, so we kind of want to get off that 1. This one's on 2. But the thing is, the southern front and there is a chance the western front maybe a combat here, so that might be a concern. And to be honest, yeah, I mean, if you can get them to the 5 mark, you get an extra white dice. That's what that wee symbol is down the bottom there. So I think that's what my thinking was at first. So if I move this now up by 1, then in the movement phase you can move these tracks about a little bit as well. So I would be able to get it to the 5, but I really don't need an extra white. I shouldn't need an extra white dice. We've got 1 Panzer army and 4 regular armies, to be honest. And that's only going to be our 1 combat. So just one. Yeah, you know what? I'll put it up. I'll put it up 1. So that's our 1 Luftwaffe replacement point. Right, and then on to the next step, which is still the economy segment, strategic warfare replacements. So we get to add 1 to the strategic warfare value in its track for each strategic warfare replacement point. Again, we've only got 1. And it reminds you there, the marker may not be moved into the 3 or 4 boxes if they contain a locked marker. And you can see they do include a locked marker. But we're moving from the 1 to the 2 box. So that's a good thing. So now we get to roll 2 dice. And unfortunately the technology is on 0, so both the dice that we roll will be white. If we can get this up to 1, then one of the dice will then be grey when we come around to it again. Right, so that's it. And you can see, well, because I'm using the cards, but I should be moving this along. Oh no, we're still in there, aren't we? Alright, I've not blundered that. That's alright. Not that it's a blunder, but I'm going to forget to move that track at times, I think. So that's, I'm going to use these cards just now, because they do look like they'll keep you straight. There's a lot more moving about with my camera right now, but anyway, hopefully it's showing good stuff. Right, so still in the economy segment, now we're on to our satellite replacements. Now, it says you roll 1 yellow dice for each satellite country with armies in the force pool. Place satellite armies on the map if at least one yellow hit, that's a hit symbol, is rolled. Place army in any of that country's home areas with land supply. You can see we don't have any satellite countries yet. If we did, these are the amount of armies that they would have in these boxes. So we need yellow cubes in here before we can do any in that step. So we're not going to be able to do any satellite replacement. And just to keep things right, that we should have went into there. So now we're moving into the production table. Right, next step, production table, economy segment. Rearrange the production markers in any desired way, provided that the sum of their value does not exceed the resource value in its track. So it means we can rearrange all of these, or any of these, but as long as we still have the number of that, which is 8. So it's kind of difficult at the start because, well actually, can you put them down to 0? It looks like you can, eh? Yeah. So I could potentially drop one of the replacements down to 0, but I mean, I really don't want to do that at all. And to be able to move one of the other tracks up. I did think you could put this down, but if I put this down, I think it drops fanaticism by 1, and that's not really a good thing either. Our directives, we only need them at 1, and now you can play more than one directive card, so let's just say that I was able to put the production directive up to 2, then I could play 2 of these 1 cost cards, and do both of them, you know. So that's a thought. But if I put that to 2, I've then got to drop something else to 1. I mean, I could drop that, and then we drop the fanaticism, I suppose. I dare say these are things that maybe some of you would maybe do at the start, because I mean the setup's going to be exactly the same, so I'm sure some of you played the game and thought, let's try this and try that, you know. Or I mean, I suppose you could drop strategic warfare replacements maybe, because actually I'm just thinking, because it's I actually found when I played this earlier, when I was messing about with this, I can't move it from there to there just now anyway. So, you know, actually, that's making me think. Let me think about this. Then we could also go down the political directive route and knock it up to 2, and then be able to play 2 of these. Zoom out, you can see these. I went for, the last time I've done it, I've done this diplomacy one, but the Hungary one's quite doable as well, so it makes me think you could actually do both of these if I had 2 political directive points. The Italy one sort of looks a bit harder. I mean, these are the modifiers that you get. So you can see if the status of France is Vichy, you would get a +2. Well, it's not. So I suppose actually you could go for Italy right away. That's the role that you need. Sorry, I'm speaking as if you know what I'm talking about, and some of you maybe don't. What you do is you play this card, you roll the dice, you need a 4+, and they're the modifiers. That is just for the competitive game, or maybe the cooperative as well. That's points. That doesn't count. So yeah, I mean you could go for Italy. Yugoslavia as an axis. I think I went for that one because I was getting +1. Greece is not an Axis satellite, so I was getting a +1 for that, and I was getting a +1 for Yugoslavia is not an Axis satellite. So I was getting a +2 to that die roll, so I only needed to roll a 2 or more. So I mean, I could if I were able to put that to 2. I mean, I've only got 1 military directive card, so that only needs to be set at 1, which is that one. So yeah, let me just. Let's have a glance at these cards. So what we got? We got magnetic mines, because if I put my production cost at 2, I could play 2 of these. That says air naval control in the Western Front goes up by +1. Okay, that's just a straight up. You play that card, it goes up by +1, and then the card gets discarded. This one There's a prerequisite for this one which says the fanaticism value is 2 or higher. Well, it is at 2 at the moment. And that would be reduce your fanaticism by 1 and increase your resources by 1, which is good as well. And then you've got the type, is that 7? Type 7C submarines. Move the technology marker 1 box to the right in the strategic warfare track. So that's the one I was saying about. It turns the white dice into grey dice. So that's pretty good as well. But we technically could play 2 of these, I suppose. And the fact that the strategic warfare number 3 box is not... I mean, if we take a strategic warfare hat, then we're going to look kind of silly, aren't we? But yeah, I think I might go for this. Or do I want to play 2 diplomacy cards? I think that might be greedy, but maybe play 2 of these. I think maybe these 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So like I say, these are things you've got to look ahead to before you do some of these steps. Like, we're in the process of adjusting this, and I'm looking ahead to what cards I may need to play, but you need to do that. So I've got to have a total of 8 here. So I'm gonna drop my strategic warfare replacements down to 0. And I hadn't thought about the fact that you could drop it to 0, but there's 0 boxes for 3 of the tracks, so I'm assuming you can. So that means that my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 1 to spare. So I'm gonna, what was it? Was it political? No, production. I get the feeling the better one would probably be the diplomacy, but I mean, you're rolling dice for them, whereas the other ones are going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to go for production. So I'm going to knock my production up to 2. So now, do we have a total of 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, that's a 0. So that's it. Good. Right, next step. 7. Production directives. Right, so play 1 or more production directive cards if prerequisites are met and their combined production cost does not exceed the production directives value in the production table. So this is the one we bumped up. Our production directive level is 2. So we are going to play... which one was it? Not that one. Play that one and that one. So I'm going to play both of these cards. I'll just actually show you. So I'm going to play that. That costs 1. Okay, and I'm going to move the technology marker 1 box to the right in the strategic warfare track. So the technology marker goes into there, and that now means that we can roll 2 dice, and one of them it'll be white, but the other one will be grey. And this basically just gets discarded now. And I think I'm basically got discard at the top of them. Just put them in there to discard them. So that's that card's out of the game now. That's my understanding of that. Some of them will get to go back. Yeah, that's a one-off. Doesn't say anything on it, so it just gets discarded. That's it, out of the game. And then, because I've got a production directive value of 2, and I've only used 1, I can use this one as well. So I'm going to use this, and the prerequisite for this one is the fanaticism value is 2 or higher. Well, it's at 2, so that's good. So we're going to drop fanaticism by 1, and it increases our resources by 1. So that's now up to 9. So that obviously helps with us come the next turn. And again, this card just gets discarded. That's that way. Okay. Right, next step is the political directives. So we can play 1 or more political directive cards if prerequisites are met and their combined political directive cost does not exceed the political directives value in the production table. And you've got 2 bits there: diplomacy or a point, OB West, OB Sud, OB Ost. But we're just doing a diplomacy. So again, our political directives values are 1, so we can only play with a cost of 1. I'm just going to go for, I think that's the better one. So I'm going to go for Romania, Bulgaria again. This is what I did previously. Now, if this fails, this wee symbol, now where's it got the wee symbols about? It's got it in the player here, doesn't it? Somewhere. Actually, I don't think it has. I think they could have done with, unless I'm missing a bit. They've got all these symbols, but or in the book, back of the book maybe. They could do with being somewhere at the beginning of the book. No, I feel like there could have been an area. I could be missing it. I could be missing it in the book somewhere that tells you all of these. They're scattered throughout the book, but you know how you get a sort of play aid that shows you them all. So that is hang on, the index is good. The index tells you. I just need to look up what that's a political directive. So probably under directives. No, maybe not. Political directive then. Yeah, political directive cost. So it's rule 3.3. I know I'm not just looking here myself. I'm looking for the wee symbol. Maybe it's a symbol that involves more than that card, isn't it? It's just a wee. I think it just means it cycles. If you don't succeed, you can use it again. You would have thought they had a bit set with all the iconography, you know. That's sort of frustrating, that. I feel like that should be here, but I can't find that. Right, pause this now, Grant. I started wondering, it's on the map, and there is some there, isn't there? Or has it got them here? There's some. Let's go at the sectors. Fortress, Festung base. Resources +1. That's just the things you're getting on the map, though, isn't it? That's sort of strange that they don't have that, isn't it? I mean, the other player aid is just the setup. I don't think there's another player aid that I'm missing. No, I don't think so. It's not going to be in the playbook, that. Well, I mean, it will be in the rulebook. Right, okay, so there it is there on page 7, managing cards. So there's a symbol there. So it says, when a rule or a card's text instructs a card to be discarded, remove it from the game. When a rule or a card's text instructs a card to be discarded, remove it from the game. However, if the card includes a recyclable symbol, it may remain available if its objectives are not met. So after play, event cards may be discarded and removed from play, shuffle back in their deck. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. Use of directive cards, general cards, section cards, black horse cards explained in the pertinent section. So 2.2. You know, it is going to just get used again, but hang on. Yeah, so this is page 13. So we're looking at diplomacy cards, and up here it says. Right, so if we fail, I'm going to do the dice roll in a minute anyway. So if the result is lower than the activation factor, there is no effect. If there is a recycle symbol on the card remains available to be played later in the year. Remove the card from play if there is no symbol like that. So yeah, so if we fail the diplomacy, we will be able to get to do it. Well, actually, it won't be later this year. It'll be next year because this is at the end of the year. So yeah, but we will be able to try it again. Basically, that's what we're saying. Okay, so I'm going to play. With a 1 political point, I'm going to play diplomacy, Romania, Bulgaria. So, like I say, we need a 4 or greater on a d6, right, for this to succeed. These are the modifiers. The state of France is Vichy. Well, that's no. Yugoslavia is not an Axis satellite. That is correct. It is not an Axis satellite. Greece is not an Axis satellite. That is correct. It's not an Axis satellite. So that's +2. Hungary is an Axis satellite. Would give us a -1. That's why I wanted to do this one first. Because if we'd done Hungary first, you're going to get that. Well, I suppose. you're going to get a -1 for Romania, Bulgaria if you succeed. But anyway, yeah, well, that's what. Well, that's actually that one gives you a +1 if Poland's occupied, and we're not occupying Poland yet, so that's better to keep, isn't it? I think. So this is the better one to play. So we're going to roll a dice. We need a 4, but we've got a +2 modifier, so we need a 2, don't we? Right. So that goes, and that's a 6, right? Right. So we need a 2 or greater. 5. Yes, I'll do. Okay. So we succeed diplomacy with Romania and Bulgaria. So how do we do that then? Yeah, there's a bit of procedure there, so I think I need... Well, actually, can I do that with the play raid, maybe? Might need the rulebook for this. Activating a... Yeah, I think I'm going to need the rulebook. Give me a second. So we succeeded. This is on page 13 again. So we succeeded there. The bit before this is just telling you what you do to carry it. You know, if it's equal to or higher... That's what we just done. If it's equal to or higher, we activate the country as an Axis satellite and then see below. This is we're going down here. If we fail, that's what we tap, which we just read. So, when activating a country as a satellite, follow these steps. Place a satellite alignment marker. Place a satellite alignment marker in the alignment box of each of the country's home areas, which is all those that include the country's flag. So, it's just the one area for Romania and Bulgaria, which is here. So we put a satellite alignment marker in there. The next step, it says place an axis control disk in the highest numbered sector of each of the country's home areas. So the highest number sector is 2, Bucharest, so that goes in there. Right? I suppose I should show you that. Place an axis control disk in the highest numbered sector of each of the country's home areas. If any home area also already contains an axis control disk, you move it to the highest number. Well, it wasn't there. If the country includes an area with a resource symbol, add 1 to the resources value in its track. And that's the other reason to be going for this. Because Hungary doesn't have one, does it? No. Whereas Romania, Bulgaria does. So that seems like a no-brainer then, really. So that now goes to 10. It doesn't adjust in here, but it goes to 10, and we'll be able to make adjustments the next production adjustment phase, whatever it is called. And then step 4, we place 1 satellite army in the armies box of each of the country's home areas, but not in bases. So that's so we take one of the armies from just basically the box, and we put that in there, in the armies box. And then it carries on. Oh, there's an exception to that. If the activated country is Vichy, you do not play any satellite armies in its home areas. Yeah, it's different if it's Vichy. Okay, and then place the printed number of satellite armies in the activated country's box in the force pool. So that's over here. I think there's 2, isn't there, for Romania, Bulgaria. Romania, Bulgaria, you can see there's 2 there, so we get to place 2 satellite armies there. And then next time when we get satellite replacements, we'll be able to roll the dice and maybe get one of them, and it'll have to go in here. That's one of the things I got caught out of the last time. I've put 4 armies in here, and then I got to that step, and I got the result to put another army in, and I wasn't able to put it in because it was fully stacked. Carries on. If an area belonging to the activated country is a port box, you place an open port marker in the port box and a naval supply marker in its armies box. Well, it doesn't. There's 1 there. Or Libya down there has got 1, but Romania, Bulgaria is not. I'm a little unsure about how they all work. It's for supply purposes and that, but we'll get to that. And then step 7, if the activated country is Italy, add 2 to the air naval control value in the southern front box. Well, no, we're not doing that. And then it says, from that moment on, all the satellites, countries, areas and armies are controlled by the Axis, though some restrictions may be applicable in the case of Italy. So that's basically added us. We've now got a Romania, Bulgaria army, just a satellite army that we can use. And we put our resources up there. So that's been used. It did succeed, so we're not going to recycle it. That's done for the game as well, so that just goes in the political discard pile. And yes, that's that. I think I'm probably just going to get through the rest of this part, and because it's going to be a long part, isn't it? Well, yeah, I probably should have cut it with just the beginning bit. Right, well, let's keep going, Grant. So, political directives. Right, so military directives. Okay, and I should be moving that marker along as well. So, play one or more military directive cards if prerequisites are met and their combined military directive cost does not exceed the military directives value in the production table. Important. If the season is summer and no military directive card has been played, reduce the fanatism value by 1. See, it's little bits like this that have been added to these cards that make these cards worthy. Well, not that they're not be worthy without that, but it's them that make it work for me. Because if the season was summer right now and I didn't play a military directive, I would forget that. I'm pretty sure I would forget that. But it's on this card, so it's nice. Yeah, so this should have moved up. Production directive, we've done. Political directive, we've done. So the last step of the administrative phase is the military directive. Now, remember, our military directive number is at 1. We've only got one card, and we're going to play it. So, what is it? Fall of Ice, Invasion of Poland. So it costs 1. Right, the prerequisite is the season is not winter. Yeah. So we're in the fall, so it's good. Our objective is to take Warsaw. And then if we succeed, we get +1 Wehrmacht replacements. And this is the bit that I missed, because I thought all this was for... This is points, prestige points, I think it is, which we don't use in the solo game. The AG would get +1, the OKW would get +1, the Ops would get +2. But I missed this bit at the end. That's the fanaticism track. That would go up by 1. So the things that matter to us are that and that. It's just because it was added to that and I kind of missed it. And it's when I was looking at the example I play and I noticed it. So we've to put a combat pawn in. It's got to be going in area 1. But I think how you're meant to do with these is you play the card. And we'll put it there. And we pick one of our combat pawns and we put it on there just now. Because that's all that happens in that step. Is that right? Or am I... Well, let's use the cards and move on. Yeah, I think that is all you actually do with that for now, but let's just see. Right, yeah, so now we're in the operations phase. So this now moves from administrative to operations, and then we move this to the beginning of the operations. The first step is strategic warfare. So, first step, strategic warfare. You can see that's using that track there. So determine the number of dice to roll for the Axis and Allied factions. Axis roll a number of dice equal to the strategic warfare value. Remember, we moved that up to 2. And then the number and colour of dice to roll is the number of grey dice is a technology value. Well, we put that up to 1, so we'll get 1 grey dice, and the remaining dice are white. We'll get 1 white dice. The Allies roll a number of dice equal to a drawn combat card strategic warfare value for the current year. Okay, so like I say, we're getting 2 dice, 1 of which is white, and we're going to get 1 grey because the technology is there. So that's going to be us. So 1 grey and 1 white dice for us, right? And so we draw a combat card to see what the Allies get, right? So we've not seen these yet. So we're not looking at that. We're not looking at that. Yes, we are looking at that, sorry. You've got the Western faction part, Soviet faction part, and you've got the landings part. So we're looking at the Western faction under the strategic warfare for the year 1939. 1939 and 1940, they get 1. So they get 1 dice. That's it. And then we discard that card. That's all it does. Okay. So, and they use the blue dice. So they get that. So that's the 3 dice that we're going to roll for this. And then, yeah, let's just roll them. See what we get. Right, okay. Let's just bring that out and decipher that. I don't know if that's good or not. Get the feeling that may be bad. Right, well, just looking at the cards here, and move on, it's giving me the results. So, what have we got? Well, we've got that. That and that. They show up there. They've all. So the Western faction, you can see the aircraft is a hit. If they had one of the stars, if the USA was not at war, it'd be no effect. If the USA was in the war, it'd be one hit. USA is not in the war just now. And if it was a tank symbol, it'd be no effect. So they do have one hit. Us, we've got an artillery gun and a grey hit. So the grey hit is a hit, and that is a no effect. So we've tied 1-1. So Axis hits is greater than. We would get to move our air naval control in the Western Front up by 1. It is not. If it's equal to the Western hits, there's no effect. So we're not moving it at all. Yeah, that's how I got in the extra point last time. And if the Western hits was greater than the Axis hits, we distribute the difference in hits as reductions to the strategic warfare on the German air naval control tracks. So it was 1-1, so there's no effect. That wasn't really a good result for us because we were rolling 2 dice to his 1. So anyway, right, moving on. That was strategic warfare. So now we move to movement, and it starts operational movement. So yeah, we've got movement next. So yeah, there's a bit more involved than that. I ended up not moving anybody at first. I'm just really not quite so sure what to do. So maybe some of you would be moving things. Probably don't need as much as what I've got in Poland right now, but as you'll see in a minute. But so you may not move the last army out of an occupied area with partisan activity, and may not move to or from isolated areas. Again, having these things on this right now when you're about to move things is great, isn't it? Yes, I could be looking at this in the rulebook. Like I say, the sequence of play on the player aid is okay, but these cards just bring it out so much better. So move armies as follows. So we can move an army from an area to another area in the same front with an Axis control disc, or from an area in a front to an adjacent area in another front with an Axis control disc. Actually, I forgot about that bit. Yeah, and the maximum number of armies so moved is equal to the front's air naval control value. Movement to or from an area where naval supply mark is limited to 1 army per front, enforcing stacking limits after all operational movement is complete. Yeah, so you can overstack while you're moving. You know, we could move an extra army into here. We could move this into here, as long as we were then going to move it somewhere else. So you can move from adjacent areas, but that saying that, in actual fact, this is moving from this front to this front, which you normally wouldn't be able to do with operational movement. But it does say they are from an area in a front to an adjacent area and another front with an Axis control disc. It's got a control disc, so that could actually move from there to there with operational movement. Normally it need the next part of movement, which is strategic, and strategic movement allows you to move from front to front, and you go through this box, the strategic movement box. So you would move it 1 into there and then 1 into there. So you could do that. Yeah. I'm just going to keep things simple and not move anything just now, right? And learn from my mistakes, probably. Okay, so operational movement, we're not doing any. Then you move strategic movement. And like I said, again, that's the same. You can't move the last one out. Move land-supplied armies from an area to the strategic movement box and or from the strategic movement box to an area or to an area on a different front. Maximum number of strategic moves is equal to their naval control value in the Germany box. Satellite armies may not use strategic movement to move to the Western Front or Southern Front, which is another good reminder there. And again, enforce stacking limits after all movement. So yeah, just stepping back to the operational movement there first. That's how many points we would have a movement within the Eastern Front with operational movement. So I've got 4. I could move 4 armies within the front. And then with strategic movement, it uses this German air naval control box, so that's on a 5. So you can move 5, and like I say, what I could do with that is I could move this Panzer Army 1 and then 2 into the other front. You know, that's me spent 2 of that 5 movement. You know. Okay, but we'll see some of it more as things go on, I think. Right, and then finally, you've got the air movement, which means we can redistribute Axis air power between the 4 air naval control tracks. And there's exceptions here. The air naval control in the Germany box may not be reduced. It can be increased, but not reduced. So what that means is I can move this down. I can move this down 3 and move this up 3, like that. You know, I don't want to do that, but I could do that. And you can't move this one down. You can move the rest of them up or down. This one could move up. So if it was at 4 right now, we could move this down to move that up 1. But that's not necessary as well. So, yeah, what I'd done the last time is I gained the strategic warfare. From the strategic warfare, again, this was up to 3. And that's why I then spent 1 to move this up by 1. So I don't think I'm going to do this because I don't really want that dropping down to the 1. Because the combat here, they're going to get an extra blue dice for that. So I think I'm just going to leave them as they are. I don't think I really need the extra white dice for this combat. So I'm not going to do any air movement either. So I think that's going to move us along to command. Okay. Yeah, command. Segment. Right, so it reminds you there to check that each area conforms to command limits. You place the vacancies in areas with insufficient generals and return surplus generals to available. It's a wee bit fiddly to get your head around this, but it makes sense. So if you've got 0 to 1 German armies in an area, you're not going to have a head of army group. If you've got 2 to 4 German armies, you can have 1. And if you've got 5 German armies, you can have 2. And it says, anytime an armies box has insufficient German armies for the number of AG heads, immediately return an AG head to available generals, lowest seniority first. Okay, and then you would check for dismissals. If you've got any question generals, you go through this procedure. I'm just going to try and push on now because I need to get this finished. And I've got a wee bit to go yet. So we've no generals that are questioned at the moment. Right, and then we would assign appointments to any vacant AG heads or OBs slots. And there's a bit of procedure with that as well. But again, we've no vacancies. So let's just move on from that. Right, so this is the operations phase, Axis offensive segment. So I will come back to that. We will see that in action, but not right now. So Axis offensive. You'll see the wee red names underneath. That's if you're playing the cooperative or the competitive game. It's that role, the person who's got that role would carry out this action. And they can be in charge of certain different actions or whatever. Right, so this is the Axis offensive segment. So a black Axis combat pawn is placed in each area listed in the military directive card that has a disputed marker in its alignment box, or is allied controlled and is adjacent to an Axis controlled area. No available combat pawns are placed. Reduce the fanaticism by 1 and discard active military directive. If no available combat pawns are placed, was that not just said in the summer? Is that a misprint? I know there was, if you didn't do it in the summer, but that's not saying the summer, is it? Or was that something else? If you don't play a military card, oh, that's playing the actual card, isn't it? Hang on. If the current season is summer, subtract 1 from the fanaticism value in its track if no military directive cards are played in this segment. That's in that segment you would reduce the fanaticism. I'm not sure about this bit then. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to look at, I'll be in the it's obviously going to be in the Axis offensive segment, so I'm assuming it must be there. Because I think these were updated quite recently. Right, we'll have a look at that anyway. But however, we are using a combat pawn anyway. So there's a card with a pawn, and we need to be placing it in Area 1, which is in Poland. And our objective here is to occupy Warsaw. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be coming down with the camera and going through these cards. I might use them myself because I think they're really quite handy, but I'm not going to keep changing the camera. It's just to go through these for the first time. So combat resolution. So this is how you sort out combat. First of all, this is for a land combat anyway. We're going to draw and reveal one combat card. Okay, so let's do that first. Zoom out. So we're going to draw a combat card. Let's just see what that is. So it's well, looking as a Western. We're attacking the Western faction, and we're attacking into a plains area from Stettin to Krakow. Yeah. Okay, and so they're on the defensive. And 90-39. Oh, they're getting 2 dice. So they're going to get 2 dice on the defensive. I think that's more than I got the first time I done it. I'm sure I only got the 1. Okay, so there's no any special effects with that one though. You can see elsewhere there's some special effects, but we'll get to them later. And then step 2 is we then activate our participating generals. Okay, right, so first of all, we've not got a OB Ost, so OB East. So we don't need to look at him. We've got 2 AG heads. Now we've got to use the high seniority one for him. So we're going to use von Rundstedt, isn't it? So he's our general he's the AG head general. So let's get him down here and have a look at him first. So remember I spoke about him before. So he can attack either faction. He needs to be attacking into planes to get the benefit for this. And what do you know? We were attacking into planes, aren't we? So yes. So he is going to benefit that right away. And the special effect, the effect of that is to add +1 hit to the Axis combat roll. So whatever we roll, we're getting 1 hit added. That's when he's dismissed, so we're not doing that. So he's going to be our AG head, but we now also need to. It says if there is at least 1 German army participating in the combat, a leading general must be activated. And then for the solo, you must choose a general from your available general space who meet both requisites above. And the requisites are, it must be a general from the available general space with the highest seniority factor or one whose seniority factor is immediately lower. If there is a choice, the player may nominate the general preferred. So I've got to pick from the generals that I've got that are highest or just below highest. And yeah, I came across a question the day that was asked on BGG. I mean, highest could be, let's say highest is 9 and then 8, right? But say you've not got any 8s and you've got a 7. So you've got 9 and then 7. And somebody's question was, can it be between the 9 and the 7? And the designer answered that yes, it could be. So it's your next lowest that you've got. I mean, in the case I'm looking at now, it's going to be, well, we'll see in a second. And the other requisite is that the nominated general's seniority factor must be lower than that of the activated head of the army group. So it's got to be lower than the 10, which 10's the highest anyway. So it's got to be lower than that, though. It can't be equal to that. So that's why you want these guys in as your AG heads, so it gives you more flexibility with the. But when it comes to select these, they've got to be the highest anyway. You're kind of pushed a little bit into what generals you're going to have to use. But I've not fully looked into all that yet. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It might be that works out the best sort of way. So our available generals are they should have been put on, and that's where von Rundstedt is. He's activated. He's in there, but we've got him down the side. So these are all our available generals. Okay, so let's have a little look at them. Well, just glance in here. So I think I've got them in order. So
we're looking at seniority. So we've got an 8, a 7, a 7, a 7, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6. So we've got to either pick the 8 or one of the 7s. So the 3 6s we can put back. We don't even need to look at them. We can't use them. So between the 8 and the 7s, now it's not really super necessary here. This one's attacking into any terrain, so we would be able to and it against any faction. Well, hang on, let's see the factions that don't count for us. See, that needs to be against the Russian faction, so that doesn't count. So does that. And that's also meaning defending. So we want to keep him. We could use them. We could use them if we wanted to, but they're not going to do anything. So we're better putting they two away. He could be used against both. He could be used against both. If it was into rough, the attack was into rough. So that's not any good to us either. So, and that one's attacking into rough as well. So none of the 4 work. These 2 do. So I'm going to put the 4 back. Because once you've used these, they get to use once a year. Mind you, we're coming at the end of the year just right now anyway, so we're better using the best we've got. So we've got, I think they're both the same, aren't they? Oh no, they're not. The controlling player may re-roll 1 die in the Axis combat roll. The new result must be applied. Or the controlling player may re-roll 1 die in the allied combat roll. The new result must be applied. I don't know. What was that? Special Hitler's favourite. In the New Year phase, add +1 to the controlling player. That doesn't count for us. Both of them have got a, what is that? Misfortunes. Which might mean that he's got a possible heart attack. He's poor health. So I think they just get removed from the game. So I think I'm going to pick, I think I'm going to pick this one. Right? So I'm going to put him back. And he was the 8. And remember, it's got to be under the 10. As well, so that's fine. So he becomes an activated general, so he goes in this box. Well, you know what, I'll keep him down here just now. So it's Walter von Reichenau. Right, let me find his counter. Okay, there's his counter there. So actually, I think all the counters should be in here, but there's that many of them. So I'm going to put him in there. And that's it. So that's us, got our generals. So now we roll the allied combat dice. That's the next step there. We roll the allied combat dice. And then we roll the Axis combat dice. So let's roll the allied ones. And that was just a simple 2. So they're going to roll 2. 2 blue dice. Slightly better bit to put that. But I think maybe work things out there. Right, so let's see what they get. Right, so they've got playing symbol and a card symbol. So hang on, does that show you the results? No. Right, okay. So we've got, that was on the player aid though, so let's just see what we're going to be up against before we roll. It's on table, is it table 1? There. So allied, we've got a playing symbol. And the card symbol is all factions. Says draw and resolve 1 combat event card. But remember, we've got the possibility of re-rolling one of these. The playing symbol is going to be subtract 1 from the air naval control value in the combat's front. If value is 1, it's a 1 hit. Each subsequent hit is 1 hit. So, oh shoot, sorry. So it's in the Eastern Front. So I'm just wondering if we might want to re-roll that. That's going to knock that down by 1. And they've got a combat event card to draw. So do we want to... Controlling player may re-roll 1 die in the allied combat roll. The new result must be applied. I don't know, because combat event might be nasty. I should know what it is, because there's only 1, but... or they'll want to try and avoid they've got no hits on us, but we're rolling 4 grey dice and a black dice, and we've got a guaranteed hit, so we don't really care about a hit coming, I don't think. Do I want to take the chance? I think I want to re-roll the air dice actually, so I'm going to use Reichenau's special effect to reroll this dice, right? And we're going to keep the combat event. So I'm going to reroll this one. Oh, great. Okay, well that's the same result, so that's that. Right, did I do the events now? No. Event resolution is after our roll. Right, so for our roll, we've got 4 grey dice and 1 black dice. So let me get that together. 4 grey and 1 black. And again, if this was up at 5, we would add a white dice. If you're defending in rough, I want to say these are ones that can catch you. Defending in rough, you get to roll another dice. I think that wasn't as in planes. Good thing about planes, if you roll a tank symbol, it's 2 hits. I can't see us having any issues here. And remember, we've got 1 hit to add to this roll anyway, as well. So it's the 4 grey and the 1 black. So yeah, let's do it. And they've got no hits. We've got 1 already guaranteed. So in fact, doesn't matter what happens here, does it? Right, we're getting a combat dice as well. So we've got 1, 2, that's 2 hits. I think that counts as a hit, and I think that counts as 2 hits in planes. And then we've got the combat event as well. So, well, the next step is resolve event resolution. So 6.5, just glancing here. This video's going to be long, isn't it? Yeah. So we draw a combat event card. Remember, the allies rolled a symbol as well, so we're actually going to draw 2 combat event cards, but there's only 1 in the deck. So we're going to draw that, and it is actually that's a Ra as well. That's not the name of this card. It's something different. Anyway, it's cancel 1 hit from the allied combat roll in this combat. From the allied combat roll. Well, they didn't roll any combat, so that's it. And this card just gets removed now. It's done its thing. Combat events. So it didn't do anything. So basically, and we can't draw another one. And you only draw a maximum of 2 as well. If there had to be 3 here, we would only draw a maximum of 2. But there's no any left anyway. So right, and then we're going to implement the combat results now. Well, this is going to apply. Does that happen? I don't know. It doesn't matter when it happens. It's going to happen. So it's going to subtract 1 from the area of control value in the combat's front. If the value was at 1, it count as a hit. So that's not the case. So that air is going to knock that down to 3, and then we are then going to have. Well, let me just check the artillery. So these are both hits. This is 2 hits if it's 1 hit, counts as 1 hit, or it'd be 2 hits if the axis is the defender and the assault guns project hasn't been completed. Well, we've not completed the assault guns project, so if we were defending, it would still just be 1 hit. But anyway, we're attacking, so it counts as 1 hit, and then that counts as 2 hits if we're in planes, or 1 hit if it's not planes. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 hits. So we've got 5 hits. So if we've got greater than their hits, we advance. And then we may advance again if it is into plains or river and does not contain a landing marker. Cost of advancing again is 1 reduction. And then if we had less hits, it would be bad for us. So we win. We're victorious. We get to advance. So we get to advance into Krakow. Right? And then we get the chance to advance the second X. It's into plains, so we can do that. So we choose to advance again. That gets knocked out of there. We then, we've got now control of Poland. That's not that one. We take control of Poland, so we now have Poland occupied. And with that second advance, however, we've got to reduce. Now there's a I seen this is one of the mistakes I'd seen a few people make. Any of the videos that I watched, there's a priority to how you reduce your armies. First priority, well, there was one of the guys I was watching was getting quite a few of them wrong. The one that Blue Tweezers was getting wrong was that if you had a white army and a yellow army, you actually had to delete. You actually had to remove the yellow army, and when the yellow armies get removed, they get removed from the game. They don't go into the force pool. So anyway, we've got to reduce the Panzer army first. So we need to reduce that. As long as we've got a replacement in the force pool, which fortunately we have. And this is something you've got to watch, because if we didn't have, it might be worse for us. So we're going to reduce that Panzer army to a regular army to satisfy the second advance. Then that can get taken away. Poland doesn't give us any resource or anything like that. No, okay. And then, yeah, I think that's it. And then, so von Reichenau gets placed in the activated generals, but he's been used for this year. Can't be used again. And then von Rundstedt just goes back to, he's the army group head. He just goes back. He's, what is it, in command, isn't he? So that's it. 54 minutes. On top of the 46 that I just paused on. I'm just wondering if I maybe should split the video up into 2 bits. It'd be a bit dull though to just see the introduction. I might do that. I'll see. Okay, yeah, because we're not finished just yet. That was the Axis operations. Now we've got the Western offensive. Yeah, this is going to... Right, hang on. I think one might actually be better just stopping there as I'm moving on to this Western offensive. It's a crappy bit to stop it. But I'm forgetting I've still got to resolve this at the end. That's not a huge big deal though, Grant. Can you not just push on through it? Go on then. I might just split up anyway. That was a combat card. That gets discarded. So now we're on to the Western offensive. Landings. Skip this segment if there's no landing. No offensive in operations box. Well, there's not, but if there is a landing mark in the landings box, resolve the landing. Well, there's not. We need to get to 1942 before there's a landing mark in the landings box. So none of that's going to apply. So we don't need to check for that. Right, actually, I've realised this is going to take a bit too long. So I think I'm going to just stop there. That's a step. Yeah, so we're moving on to the Western offensive segment. I've got it marked, so that's a good thing about leaving that there, so we know that that's what I'm coming back to. And I'll finish this part off, and then maybe I'll just keep this as one big part. I don't know. I think it's going to be an hour and 40 minutes or something. It's maybe a bit long, but I might also split it up. I'm not sure. Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. Quite enjoying this up to now. Not really got things going yet, but it looks like an interesting game. Anyway, I'm keen on having a bit more shot at it anyway, for sure. Okay, I'll be back when I get the chance. Cheers.